Glenn Ford. Glenn Ford, the dashing star of Gilda and Blackboard Jungle, was not just a Hollywood leading man, but a compulsive archivist of his own life. For over 70 years, Ford meticulously documented every detail of his existence, from the mundane to the extraordinary. He kept a daily diary starting in the early 1930s, recording everything from his meals to his innermost thoughts. This wasn't just a habit, it was an obsession. Ford also preserved every piece of correspondence he ever received, from fan letters to personal notes from other Hollywood legends. His collection extended to bizarrely personal items, including his baby teeth and locks of his own hair. After his death, the sheer volume of his possessions was staggering. It took 2 massive trucks to haul away the memorabilia for auction. Even more unsettling, Ford secretly recorded phone conversations with friends, family, and even political figures like Richard Nixon. These tapes, hundreds in number, revealed a man who was not only obsessed with preserving his legacy, but also with controlling the narrative of his life. Ford's collection wasn't just about nostalgia. It was a psychological portrait of a man who couldn't let go of the past. Orson Welles. Orson Welles, the genius behind Citizen Kane, was a man of many obsessions, but few know about his peculiar fixation on his own nose. Welles believed his natural nose was too small for the grandeur of his cinematic persona, so he began collecting prosthetic noses. These weren't just props, they were works of art to him. He stored them meticulously, naming each one and even showcasing them at parties as part of his infamous magic tricks. His obsession with his appearance didn't stop there. Welles demanded custom prosthetics for nearly every role he played, and as his career progressed, the noses became increasingly exaggerated. This wasn't vanity. It was a deep insecurity masked by theatricality. Welles's collection of fake noses became a symbol of his complex relationship with his own identity. Behind the bravado and genius was a man who felt he had to literally reshape himself to fit the roles he created. His collection, both absurd and tragic, reveals the psychological toll of being a perfectionist in an industry that demands constant reinvention. Elizabeth Taylor. Elizabeth Taylor's love affair with jewelry was not just a passion, it was a defining feature of her identity. By the time she reached the height of her fame in the 1950s, Taylor had amassed one of the most famous jewelry collections in the world. Her pieces weren't just accessories, they were symbols of power, love, and status. Among her treasures was the Krupp diamond, a dazzling 33-carat stone that she wore almost daily, and the Taylor Burton diamond, a 69-carat marvel that became the talk of Hollywood. Taylor's obsession with jewelry was deeply personal. She often said that each piece told a story, whether it was a gift from one of her many husbands or a trophy of her own success. Her collection wasn't just about beauty, it was about control. In a world where women were often objectified, Taylor used her jewelry to reclaim her narrative, turning herself into a living work of art. After her death, her collection was auctioned for over $100 million, cementing her legacy as not just a Hollywood icon, but a collector of unparalleled taste and ambition. Peter Lorre. Peter Lorre, the unforgettable villain of M and Casablanca, had a private life as dark and eccentric as the characters he portrayed. Lorre was a collector of the macabre, amassing a trove of skulls, anatomical curiosities, and other morbid artifacts. His fascination with death and the grotesque wasn't just a hobby, it was a reflection of his own struggles. Lorre's addiction to morphine, which began as a treatment for chronic pain, only deepened his obsession with the eerie and the unsettling. He was known to keep props from his films, particularly those that aligned with his sinister on-screen persona. Rumors swirled that he even kept a replica of his own death mask, a chilling reminder of his mortality. Lorre's collection was more than a curiosity. It was a window into the psyche of a man who lived on the edge of darkness. His fascination with the macabre wasn't just about shock value. It was a way of confronting the fears and demons that haunted him throughout his life. Joan Crawford. Joan Crawford, the epitome of old Hollywood glamour, had a collecting habit that bordered on obsession: cleaning supplies. Crawford's fixation on cleanliness was legendary, but few realized the extent of her compulsion. She amassed an arsenal of custom-made cleaning products, from industrial-strength disinfectants to specialized brushes and cloths. Her home was a shrine to order, with every surface gleaming and every item in its place. Crawford didn't just supervise the cleaning, she often did it herself, scrubbing floors and polishing furniture with the precision of a surgeon. Her obsession extended to her wardrobe, where she collected and cataloged every piece of clothing she owned, ensuring each item was perfectly maintained. Crawford's fixation on cleanliness wasn't just about appearances. It was a way of exerting control in a chaotic world. Her collection of cleaning supplies and her relentless pursuit of perfection reveal a woman who was as much a prisoner of her own standards as she was a master of her image. Behind the polished exterior was a relentless drive to maintain order, no matter the cost. Charlie Chaplin. Charlie Chaplin, the silent film legend whose character, the Tramp, became a global icon, was not just a pioneer of cinema, but also a meticulous collector of his own legacy. Chaplin preserved costumes, props, and promotional materials from nearly every film he made, including the iconic bowler hat and cane that defined his on-screen persona. These items were not just memorabilia, they were pieces of a carefully curated history, a way for Chaplin to control how the world remembered him. His obsession with preservation extended to fan letters and gifts, which he stored in private archives. Among the most surprising discoveries was his collection of personal correspondence, revealing his deep insecurities about his work and his relentless drive for perfection. Chaplin's collection became so vast that it served as a treasure trove for historians after his death, offering an intimate glimpse into the mind of a man who revolutionized cinema. Yet, his hoarding of his own artifacts also hinted at a fear of being forgotten, a vulnerability hidden behind the laughter he brought to millions. Marlene Dietrich. Marlene Dietrich, the glamorous star of The Blue Angel and Morocco, was a woman of contradictions. While she dazzled audiences with her elegance, her private life revealed a meticulous obsession with collecting costumes and fashion. Dietrich kept nearly every costume she wore in her films, treating them as sacred relics of her career. Her collection extended to her personal wardrobe, which included pieces from top designers like Christian Dior and Chanel. What makes this more fascinating is the level of care she devoted to preserving these items. Dietrich stored her clothing in temperature-controlled conditions, ensuring they remained in pristine condition for decades. Her collection was not just about vanity, it was a testament to her understanding of the power of image. She knew that her style was as much a part of her legacy as her acting. After her death, her collection was donated to museums, revealing the extent of her influence on both fashion and film. Dietrich's obsession with preservation was not just about beauty, it was about immortality, a way to ensure that her elegance would outlive her. W.C. Fields. W.C. Fields, the comedic genius behind The Bank Dick and My Little Chickadee, was a man whose off-screen life was as colorful as his on-screen persona. Fields had a peculiar obsession with alcohol-related items, but not in the way one might assume. During Prohibition, he hoarded liquor, amassing a collection so vast it could have lasted him decades. Yet, his fascination went beyond consumption. Fields collected novelty flasks, barware, and other drinking paraphernalia, many of which were custom-made or rare. His home was filled with these items, reflecting his love of humor and eccentricity. One of the most surprising aspects of his collection was its theatricality. Fields often used his barware as props during parties, turning his gatherings into performances. His collection was not just a reflection of his personality, it was an extension of his comedic genius, a way to blur the line between life and art. Fields's obsession with these items revealed a man who found joy in the absurd even as he navigated the pressures of fame. James Stewart. James Stewart, the everyman hero of It's a Wonderful Life and Rear Window, had a surprising passion for aviation that extended far beyond his celebrated service as a World War II pilot. Stewart was an avid collector of model airplanes, a hobby that began during his childhood and continued throughout his life. His collection included miniature replicas of planes he flew during the war, as well as rare and custom-made models from aviation history. What makes this even more fascinating is how personal the collection was to him. Stewart often spent hours assembling and painting the models himself, treating the process as a form of meditation. His love of aviation was not just a hobby, it was a way to stay connected to a part of his life that defined him. Stewart's collection was displayed in his home, where he often shared it with friends and family. Yet, it was more than just a display. It was a tribute to his love of flight, a passion that grounded him even as he soared to fame. Bela Lugosi. Bela Lugosi, the man who immortalized Dracula on screen, lived a life as shadowy and mysterious as the characters he portrayed. While his performances terrified audiences, his private life revealed a fascination with the macabre that extended far beyond the screen. Lugosi was an avid collector of vampire-related artifacts, including capes, fangs, and props from his iconic role. These items were not just souvenirs, they were symbols of his deep connection to the character that defined his career. Yet, his collection didn't stop there. Lugosi was also drawn to the occult, amassing rare books and artifacts tied to supernatural lore. He was known to frequent antique shops and libraries in search of items that reflected his fascination with the unknown. Perhaps the most haunting aspect of his collection was his insistence on being buried in one of his Dracula capes, a request that was honored after his death. Lugosi's collecting habits were more than a hobby. They were a reflection of a man who blurred the line between reality and the roles he played, leaving behind a legacy as enigmatic as the creatures he brought to life. Mae West. Mae West, the sultry star of She Done Him Wrong and I'm No Angel, was a woman who lived life on her own terms. Her bold personality extended to her private life, where she indulged in a passion for collecting furniture and decor with a provocative flair. West's home was filled with custom-made pieces, including a bed carved with suggestive imagery and mirrors that adorned nearly every surface. Her most infamous addition was a mirrored ceiling in her bedroom, a feature that became the talk of Hollywood. Yet, her collection wasn't just about shock value. West was deeply involved in the design of her pieces, working with artisans to create furniture that reflected her unique style. She also collected costumes from her films, preserving the glamorous outfits that helped define her image. Her home became a museum of her life, a space where every item told a story of her unapologetic embrace of individuality. West's collecting habits were a testament to her understanding of the power of image, a way to ensure that her legacy would remain as bold and unforgettable as she was. Clark Gable. Clark Gable, the king of Hollywood and star of Gone with the Wind, had a surprising passion for the great outdoors that manifested in his unusual collecting habits. Gable was an avid fisherman and hunter, and his collection of fishing gear and outdoor equipment was as extensive as it was personal. He owned custom-made rods, reels, and lures, many of which were designed specifically for him. Gable's love of the outdoors wasn't just a hobby. It was a way to escape the pressures of fame. He often retreated to remote locations to fish and hunt, bringing back unique items to add to his collection. Among his most prized possessions were handcrafted lures that he displayed in his home, each one a reminder of his adventures. Gable's collecting habits revealed a man who found solace in nature, a stark contrast to the glamorous world of Hollywood. His passion for the outdoors was not just about the thrill of the hunt, it was about reconnecting with a simpler, more grounded way of life. Errol Flynn. Errol Flynn, the swashbuckling star of The Adventures of Robin Hood and Captain Blood, lived a life as adventurous off-screen as it was on. Flynn's passion for collecting exotic weapons was a reflection of his larger-than-life persona. His collection included swords, daggers, and firearms. many of which were antiques or custom-made. Flynn was particularly drawn to dueling pistols, which he displayed prominently in his home. Yet, his fascination with weapons wasn't just about their aesthetic appeal. Flynn often used his collection as props in his films, blurring the line between his on-screen characters and his real-life persona. He was known to host elaborate parties where he would showcase his collection, even staging mock duels for his guests. Flynn's collecting habits revealed a man who was as much a performer in his private life as he was on screen. His weapons were not just objects, they were symbols of his love of adventure and his desire to live life on his own terms. Vivien Leigh. Vivien Leigh, the luminous star of Gone with the Wind and A Streetcar Named Desire, had a passion for collecting rare books that revealed a deeply intellectual side to her personality. Leigh's collection included first editions of classic literature, such as works by Shakespeare, Jane Austen, and Charles Dickens. She was known to spend hours poring over her books, often annotating them with her own thoughts and reflections. Her love of literature was not just a pastime. It was a way for her to escape the pressures of her career and the challenges of her personal life. Among the most fascinating aspects of her collection were the handwritten notes she left in the margins, offering a glimpse into her inner world. Leigh's books were more than just objects. They were companions that provided comfort and inspiration. After her death, her collection was auctioned, revealing the extent of her passion for literature. Leigh's collecting habits were a testament to her intellect and her love of storytelling, a reminder that behind the glamour of Hollywood was a woman with a deep and curious mind. Mickey Rooney. Mickey Rooney, the versatile star of Babes in Arms and National Velvet, had a surprising passion for collecting toy trains. While his on-screen energy captivated audiences, his private life revealed a nostalgic connection to his childhood through his collection. Rooney's fascination with model trains began early in life and grew into a lifelong obsession. His collection included rare and custom-made trains, some of which were handcrafted by master artisans. He even dedicated an entire room in his home to display his miniature railways, complete with intricate tracks and landscapes. Rooney wasn't content to simply display his trains. He often hosted elaborate demonstrations for friends and family, bringing his collection to life with the same enthusiasm he brought to his performances. What makes this even more fascinating is how deeply personal the collection was to him. For Rooney, the trains represented a simpler, more innocent time, a stark contrast to the pressures of Hollywood. His collecting habits revealed a man who found solace in the small, detailed world of model railroads, a place where he could escape the chaos of fame and reconnect with his inner child. Gene Tierney. Gene Tierney, the ethereal star of Laura and Leave Her to Heaven, had a unique passion for collecting perfume bottles. Her collection was as elegant and refined as the actress herself, featuring rare and antique bottles from around the world. Tierney was particularly drawn to ornate, hand-blown glass designs, many of which were crafted by renowned artisans. Her collection wasn't just about aesthetics. It was a deeply personal expression of her love for beauty and craftsmanship. Tierney often displayed her bottles in her dressing room, where they became a source of inspiration and comfort. Among the most fascinating aspects of her collection were the stories behind each piece. Some bottles were gifts from admirers, while others were treasures she discovered during her travels. Her passion for collecting perfume bottles reflected her appreciation for the finer things in life, a way to surround herself with beauty even during challenging times. Tierney's collection was more than just a hobby. It was a reflection of her grace and sophistication, a reminder of the timeless allure she brought to the screen. Buster Keaton. Buster Keaton, the silent film legend known for The General and Sherlock Jr., was a man of innovation, both on and off the screen. While his physical comedy and daring stunts made him a cinematic pioneer, his private life revealed a passion for collecting gadgets and mechanical devices. Keaton was fascinated by the mechanics of filmmaking and amassed a collection of vintage cameras, projectors, and other film equipment. He often spent hours tinkering with his gadgets, modifying them to create new effects for his films. His collection wasn't limited to filmmaking tools. He also collected clocks, automata, and other intricate devices that reflected his love of engineering. What makes this even more remarkable is how Keaton used his collection to fuel his creativity. Many of the innovations seen in his films were inspired by the devices he collected and studied. His gadgets were more than just objects. They were extensions of his genius, a testament to his relentless curiosity and ingenuity. Keaton's collecting habits revealed a man who saw the world as a puzzle to be solved, a visionary who turned his passion for mechanics into cinematic magic. Marlon Brando. Marlon Brando, the enigmatic star of A Streetcar Named Desire and The Godfather, had a surprising passion for music that manifested in his collection of conga drums and other instruments. While Brando's intensity on screen captivated audiences, his private life revealed a softer, more rhythmic side. His love for conga drums began during his travels to the Caribbean, where he immersed himself in the local culture and music. Brando's collection included rare and handmade drums, each one a reflection of his deep appreciation for world music. He often played his drums during downtime on film sets, using music as a way to relax and connect with others. His passion for collecting wasn't limited to drums. He also owned guitars, ukuleles, and other instruments, many of which he taught himself to play. Brando's musical collection was a reflection of his restless spirit, a way to explore new cultures and express himself beyond the confines of acting. His instruments were more than just possessions. They were tools of connection, a reminder that even the most intense performers have a softer, more introspective side. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and comment. Also, consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell to get notified of our newest videos. Thanks for watching.